वाङ्मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्मयेधि वेदस्य मणिस्थ श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः अनेनाधीतेनाहोरात्रान् सन्दधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ May my speech be firmly established in my mind. May the mind too be firmly established in my speech. O self-effulgent Lord, be revealed in my consciousness and thus in my life. May the truths of the scriptures come to me. May not what I learn from them ever forsake me. Let me live my life day and night according to their teachings. I shall speak what is appropriate. I shall speak the truth. May that protect me. May that protect the teacher. Om, peace, peace, peace. Let us feel the center of our consciousness as a spark of light. Let us feel that within our heart. And let us concentrate on that. I see my whole being is permeated with that light of the self. And also the whole universe. I see the oneness. I see there is no time or space. I am the eternity. I am all pervading. I am bliss itself. From this state of absolute oneness, I come to the level of multiplicity. I still am aware of the underlying reality which is one, appearing in multiple changing impermanent forms with the names, like the animal crackers, different shapes of different animals and corresponding names. But I am aware that intrinsically they are all same. Om, peace, peace, peace. So, dear friends, let us begin today's study of this great biography of Sri Ramakrishna with the regular opening chant, which is yet to appear on the screens. why the chant is not there. Hmm? Something is not connected. Some technology issue. Huh? Yeah, such things happen, There is, in this relative world, there isn't perfection, you see. Things go wrong here and there, and sometimes a switch is plugged out, or yes, certain things, certain wires, they are put into different holes. They are like us, our machines, our bodies are machines like that. And that is why spiritual life actually is connecting all our different faculties in the right spot, and thus they bring the illumination. So anyway, I think it is not going to be working today, and uh, uh, on the web it is working, but okay, they cannot. Okay, that is good enough then. Yes, so since it is working on the web, we don't have to worry. You are all seeing because uh, you are aware, and then those who are sitting, a few of them, they know this mantra, so they can recite without seeing it. So let's begin, friends. Tava kathamritam तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ते Bhurida Janaha. So now it has appeared, you can read the mantra and the meaning, that it is the stories of the sport of divine in human form. Those who narrate these stories, they are the greatest givers of mankind. Because through that we feel, we understand the purpose of our life. So we had been reading this chapter about how Sri Ramakrishna connected with his teachers. Apparently, being teachers, they taught Sri Ramakrishna, and Sri Ramakrishna was a very good, very obedient student. He followed their instructions in letter and spirit, explicitly and implicitly, and attained the goal of that particular path that they were teaching him. Now, while this was happening, these teachers, they became also aware of their weaknesses. It is they were perfect in a discipline and realized God, but there were some human weaknesses which keep on lingering in body as well as in mind. It is strange that even though the person following a path realizes the divine, and yet when that is in the world, some of the tendencies born out of habits, previous impressions, they still linger, and they become the cause of, as you can expect, a lot of difficulties. Now in the light of Sri Ramakrishna's life, they could see it. Otherwise, probably they would have found it difficult to take notice of these things. That happens when we are in the midst of only those who are at best likes of us, usually lesser than us. Then that does not let us see our defects. So therefore, when we compare with some illumined souls, then only in comparison we learn to see the defects and then take them out. These are the common human tendencies which we see here. Swami Saradananda has given some such shortcomings in Bhairavi Brahmani's life. So we should see this from this point of view, that even an advanced spiritual aspirant like Bhairavi, one who has attained great strides of perfection, towards perfection, and still she could not see or notice those things. So it is just when we look at the mirror, then we see that our face has some these marks or some spots that need to be cleaned. So there are some smudges there that need to be removed. So it is only when we look at ourselves in the mirror, then we discover it. So the lives of such God incarnations, they serve as mirrors to us. When we see where we are in comparison to their life, when they become the mirror. And then when we look into that mirror, then we see that how many such imperfections are there. And thus Brahmani could become aware of those. So let us read that part. Please don't forget that Brahmani was very advanced. Bhairavi Brahmani was very advanced. So even she could have those defects. So what to speak of us, friends? So let us not be under the delusion that, oh no, I have been going to Vedanta Society for so many decades. I have been initiated for so many decades. Or I have read all these books. I have listened to lectures and so forth. That does not mean much. One can say, I am a Swami for 50 years. Well, that also does not guarantee that you have become perfect in every respect. Here you can see the one who was so advanced as to become the teacher to one like Sri Ramakrishna. She also had these traces of some human defects, and let us read about them with this background awareness, that this is a a suggestion for us to introspect. Always let us keep on introspecting with the view to correct ourselves, not to despise ourselves or not to think of ourselves as sinners who will be condemned eternally into hell. Not from that angle, but from the attitude of correcting ourselves. It is to effect the corrections, this faculty of introspection, critical introspection, has to be employed by everyone. When that introspection stops, then arrogance takes hold of a person. And so we have to be wary of that. So let us continue the reading. It is again, we are on page 530. And it is the second paragraph that we are reading. Although this we had read earlier, but still just to connect. Although the Brahmani was foremost amongst heroic aspirants, she had not achieved the divine mode, as she observed the living example of the divine mode in the master and benefited from his support. The Brahmani gradually developed a desire to achieve that state. The Brahmani saw that as soon as the master heard the word Siddhi, it is like Marwana, or Karana, like wine, Karana, wine, he became overwhelmed with the consciousness of God, the cause of the universe. Whereas he saw, whenever he saw a woman, whether chaste or unchaste, he remembered the Divine Mother's powers of creation and of bestowing joy, and felt himself to be her child. His hands and limbs recoiled from the very touch of gold and other metals even while he was asleep. Living near such a spiritual dynamo, what person would not have the passion for God enkindled? What person would not become disgusted with ephemeral wealth and power and desire to establish a personal relationship with God? We heard that this is why Brahmani decided to practice severe austerities for the rest of her life. The master told us that the Brahmani would become jealous if he associated with other devotees or paid great respect to any saintly person. We understand that her attitude towards the master was that of a grandmother or an elderly woman relative who feels distressed on finding a boy she had raised begin to show affection for others in the household as he grows older. As a highly advanced aspirant, the Brahmani should not have had that feeling. She had the opportunity to observe the master's life day and night over a long period, so she ought to have known that the master's love and respect were not transient, as is often the case with other people. So this is a common human problem, that jealousy, covetousness, and so forth, that if someone I love is also loving somebody else, it becomes a big problem. It is this jealousy. We do not, cannot really pinpoint that problem, but it is due to this possessiveness that we have this, along with I, there comes the, what Sri Ramakrishna would say, mine. With everybody. When there is this awareness of a separate I, there is automatically its offshoot, mine. And so it catches hold of something as mine, and then would not let it go. It is right from childhood this attitude kind of grows. That it is, if somebody else is the child, or even a child, sees that it is being snatched, would not like it. It is, there is no actually any proprietary thing there, but mine. A terrible attitude grips a human being, and thus the life gets all poisoned because of that. I remember in my childhood, my little sibling, much younger than me, then as he was going to kindergarten, he would sing some poems taught there. But if somebody else in the household sings those, he would get terribly irritated and upset, angry, would throw tantrums in anger. Because why? Oh, that is my song. You are not allowed to sing that. So see the jealousy, that mine, that is my song. You sing whatever is yours, I don't care. But my song, you are not allowed to sing. It is. So, as a result, all others would deliberately, to instigate him, would keep on singing those songs. So, but that is how it is from childhood. Something is mine, and then you don't want to let your hold on that go. It is, and this happens. Brahmani saw that Sri Ramakrishna is her disciple. Why should he love somebody else more? Or even less, but why? He should not mix with other devotees or other saintly people. He should not pay obeisance to them. It is a very interesting thing, to study our minds, that we have this position. It is, and then that's about it. You cannot really take that person's mind away from it. It is my. Even, your house, even after you have sold it. I remember, many years ago, about 17, 18 years ago, one of my friends bought a new house, sold the old house. I had been to his old house, and later I went to his new house. So he took me to see again the old house that he had sold. That my didn't go, my old house. Now somebody owns that, somebody stays there. But when he saw that, that feeling of mine had such a big upsurge there, that yes, this is actually the plant I had put there. it is my doing. This all actually belong to me. So that even when that is gone, it is no longer actually, not yours. But that attachment to it does not go. So, yes, Brahmani was a greatly advanced spiritual aspirant, as we had seen from the earlier accounts. And so this thing should not make us lose or reduce our respect for Brahmani, but this is an example that can serve as a mirror to us, that look, let me see that how I can reduce this attitude of I and mine. It is, there are saintly people, and Sri Ramakrishna would pay respect to them, and he would love other devotees. Brahmani would be keeping eye on that, and would show displeasure, and sometimes scold Sri Ramakrishna for doing that. It is mentioned here. She had the opportunity to observe the master's life day and night over a long period, so she ought to have known that the master's love and respect were not transient, as is often the case with other people. She should have realized that the affection and respect that he rendered to her were permanent, without ebb or flow. O worldly love, you constantly attempt to possess your beloved forever, allowing no freedom from your bonds of love. On last, I think, Sunday talk, there was a question that what is this love business? What is love? I don't see it. People come together, they are married, they feel that they cannot, now they are together, but then this possessiveness, mine, and then, that makes the love go out of the window. Whatever, if it was there to begin with at all. So, that is the human idea of love, that it is mine, and if that person is not completely mine, is not able to just do everything according to my dictate, then anger wails up. That person belongs to me, is mine, and therefore should have no freedom. In that triangle of love, article or lecture by Swami Vivekananda included in Bhakti Yoga, one of the points to separate love from what passes for love is this, that true love gives freedom. True love does not bind anybody, but the idea of mine binds. So this is one way you can test, are you really loving someone? If there is love, you will not try to possess it. It will be giving freedom. So this is what Sri Ramakrishna's love was, that there was no possessiveness about it. It is, with Brahmani, the things were a bit different. She would become jealous if somebody is getting more attention by Sri Ramakrishna. Yes, what is the need? I am here, why should you look at that person? It is that became her attitude, that you think that if your beloved were given liberty, he or she would leave you and find someone else to care for more. You do not understand that it is your own mental weakness that prompts you to feel this way. It is our own weakness, friends, that makes us feel that if you give liberty to that person will go with somebody else, will just dump you. It is, let that happen. Why should you worry about it? It is not love. It is possessiveness that is passing for love. And thus it gives rise to jealousy, anger, a feeling of insecurity, anxiety, so many things. These all wrong binding emotions, they make upsurge in our heart if we have this idea, mine, and that passes for love. So one should learn to separate them and discriminate or discern love from possessiveness. A great benefit will ensue in our life if we stop identifying possessiveness with love. This is that when we have this possessiveness sounds bad. So instead of removing that bad thing, I just remove the bad word and put a nice word to it. If if I should not feel that I am possessive, if somebody accuses me that you are possessive, I certainly feel bad. But therefore what I do, I change the label. The thing doesn't get changed by just changing the label. It is as I had given you the example in our dining hall. Somebody put salt because the salt had to be put somewhere and that person couldn't quickly find another bottle. So poured, and then there was a label sugar on it. So imagine what would have happened if in their coffee people would have put that salt in the name of sugar. So similarly what happens is, to our this terrible devilish possessiveness, we give a nice sweet sounding name, love. That's it, just a label. But it has all its those poisonous tentacles around. It just poisons our life by that. And when we are calling it love, then there we don't feel the need to overcome it, because love is good. And yeah, so this is love. This is something that we find in our lives. So here is an example that a Brahmani saw that Sri Ramakrishna is hers. Sri Ramakrishna is her student. And so he should not pay respect to anybody else. He should not love others. It is wrong. So she would get tremendously upset. So that is why Swami Saradananda mentions that you do not understand that it is your own mental weakness that prompts you to feel this way. You do not understand that love often vanishes quickly. If the beloved is not allowed freedom, and if the lover does not learn to take pleasure in whatever makes the beloved happy, forget him or herself completely. This is the test of love. Otherwise, we think of our own pleasures. I love, it is like I love ice cream. Means what? It gives me pleasure and so I eat it off. So our loves are like that. That if I get pleasure from it, that is love. And thus the very idea of love goes away when you are not getting pleasure from that. It is that is how we see that the relationships become sore. Why? Because there was what was called love, because one could derive some pleasure from the other person. And now that amount of pleasure is at least reduced, if not gone, and the bondage persists, and therefore there is no love there. So it is very important, therefore, to learn to see this as a great criterion, and that you are not caring about your pleasures there. You just want your beloved to be happy and free. So that is how the love does not demand. Our attachments demand. That is the great important another point that Swami Vivekananda mentions in that lecture. Love frees. Attachments demand. There is this demands that I love you if you do like this, like this, like this. These are the demands. So, and therefore it soon retains the name, but actually it gets transformed into emotional blackmailing. It is right from childhood. The children also, they love their parents, okay, but provided the parents do their bidding, they give them what they want. Otherwise, they threaten also, that emotional blackmailing. Even small children, therefore, they get terribly miffed, show anger, start shedding tears, throw tantrums, whatever, to get what they want from their parents. Do they love parents? Well, they love their selfish interest, that's all, which passes for love. So, one must therefore learn to separate these things, and this criterion, tat sukha sukhitvam, as Narada mentions in his aphorisms on devotion, that the happiness of the beloved, that is all that they care for. And the example of gopis is being cited, that there is a story, a very illuminating story, that once Narada, a wonderful devotee of God, he had this that ego, that I am the most beloved devotee of Lord Hari, Lord Vishnu. So just to affirm, he goes and asks this question. Oh Lord, can you tell me who is your most beloved devotee, who is the best devotee? He expected the answer that, well, Narada, who but you see. It is. So, but we want that kind of affirmation from others. So he went and said to Lord that, who is your most beloved and best devotee that you think? And Narada was not given a direct answer, and Lord said, whatever it may be, but I am having terrible headache. Now, how could Vishnu have headache? We don't know, but then that is the Vishnu told Narada, oh, I am having terrible headache. Oh, okay, shall I go to the heavenly doctor Dhanvantari? He would prescribe some medication. Right now I will go and get the proper medication for you. Oh, Narada, no, there is only one medication for this. What is it? If a devotee gives me the dust of his or her feet, then that will cure my headache. Narada said, well, you have innumerable devotees. Anybody will oblige giving dust of his or her feet to you, and you apply it to your forehead. Wonderful, I will start looking for it now. Narada didn't realize that if he is devotee, he should now take the dust of his feet and apply to Vishnu. He started going to all different devotees. And they said, well, we are sorry. Every devotee said that, oh, we are very sorry that Lord is having this headache. We are ready to do everything. But how can we possibly give the dust of our feet and apply it on his forehead? That will be terribly sacrilegious, and we will have to go into hell for no one knows how many lifetimes. Oh no, that cannot happen. Find out some other medication. It is, we are ready to give lot of money to buy that medication. But this dust of our own feet, impossible. And then Narada, going to all different devotees, found that he is not finding crestfallen. He came to the Lord and said, Lord, see, no devotee is ready to give the dust of his or her feet to apply to your forehead. They are scared that they will have to go to hell. Narada, please go, try to contact those gopis in Vrindavan. Just try. Those cowherd women you mean? What do they know? I don't think that they are devotees. Please try, since you have failed in these, go and try. And Narada then goes to Vrindavan, and then all of those gopis, they saw Narada and then rushed to Narada. Narada, how is our Lord? How is he? Well, as such okay, but he has lot of headache. Headache? Oh, they started crying. But gopis, you can cure him by giving one medication. What is it? the dust of the devotees, when applied to his forehead, then that will take away that headache. And the gopis started rubbing their feet in the dust. Of course, there is no dearth of dust there. So, and take, please take as much as you want. Narada became dumbfounded. Do you understand, you stupid women? What are you doing? The result of such an act. We don't care what happens. Well, you will have to go to hell for giving the dust of your feet to Lord. It is you and all devotees who should be having the dust of his feet. You are just putting the things reverse. That will push you in the worst of the hells for who knows how long. Oh, are you really aware of this? Gopis said, we don't care. We want our Lord to get rid of that headache. That is all that we want. For that, if we have to suffer in hell, what is there? We don't care for that. It is. And Narada, well, he saw the meaning of the per devotee, the right devotee. Who is the devotee? Well, tat sukha sukhitvam. The happiness of the beloved is of utmost, or all that the lover cares for. The lover does not look for returns. A lover does not care for, what I get from my beloved. So, there is no mine, no possessive attitude in devotion. So this is the example that it is. Even there is the other very illustrative incident in the Bhagavatam, in the Ras Panchadhyayi, that as in the Ras Leela chapters, so as the Lord seeing, he was playing this divine sport with gopis, but the gopis thought just a slight sense of how fortunate we are compared to all the others in the world. It is we alone are blessed to have this kind of sport with Lord. How fortunate we are. And compared to all others, when this a little I rose in the minds of the gopis, they could not see Lord. And then they became upset with Lord. You were giving us so much happiness, we were rejoicing, and are you not ashamed to run away like this? Where are you gone? It began with that crying and anguish about that, and then they started searching for the Lord, looking for the God. Where, this flowering jasmine, did you see Lord passing by you? They started asking all the plants, trees, the stones, the brooks, everybody. Have you seen our beloved? See, he had no compassion in him. He just left us in lurch and then went away. Please tell us where he is. And while seeing this, Lord was not appearing. still. One of the gopis found the footmarks of Lord on the dust, and they decided, now obviously let us follow the footmarks. And then they saw that those footmarks were leading to an area where there was were a lot of thorny bushes and the thorns were on the ground. And then they started thinking, oh, these very tender feet of our Lord, how hard must have been for him to walk on these thorny things. He must be pricked by he must have gotten pricked by these thorns. Oh, they might be bleeding. Oh, and then they lost in that their own sorrow and started crying profusely, thinking that the Lord might be in pain. They lost the awareness of their pain. They lost their ego. They lost that Lord had left them and their anger was gone. The idea of pride was gone. And only that my Lord should be free from all these injuries and pains. That was the only thought remaining, and they were crying there to that pray that my Lord is saved. Our Lord has no pain. And when that full ego was thus washed, there's that sense of possessiveness and the demands of raised by this ego, pride, it was all gone. Then the Lord appeared before them. So we should remember this, that love does not tolerate this kind of selfishness. So love is where you just feel that happiness of other, and thus one can love. So Brahmani did not have this idea, means intellectually she had, but she didn't have that awareness ingrained and percolating in her nerves and life, and so she would get jealous and so forth. Know for certain that if you wholeheartedly love your beloved, that person will always be yours, and that pure selfless love will in the end bring to both of you the visions of God and liberation from all bondages. It seems surprising that although the Brahmani was a highly advanced aspirant and a great devotee, she did not recognize her own weakness or was incapable of accepting it despite an intellectual understanding. In fact, she lacked the awareness of selfless love. On the contrary, because she had the great fortune to become a guru to Sri Ramakrishna, she slowly came to believe that she was superior to everyone else, and that others should follow her advice or they would come to harm. We have heard that she was even jealous when the Master gave instructions to Holy Mother. We have also learned that the Holy Mother was fearful and meek when she had to face Brahmani's horrible attitude. Finally, by the grace of the Master, the Brahmani came to realize this weakness of her mind. She understood that under such circumstances she could overcome this mental imperfection only by staying away from the master. She felt that her attraction for the master was like being bound with a golden chain, and that she needed to cut it in order to move forward towards her cherished goal. There is a saying amongst the itinerant monks, a monk is pure when goes, and the water is pure that flows. The Brahmani therefore gave up the master's company and left Dakshineshwar to spend her days traveling to various holy places and practicing austerities. However, it was through the master's help as a guru that Brahmani reached that understanding. So this is the story of Bhairavi Brahmani. It is there are in Holy Mother's biography some instances about Brahmani, but this topic ends here because the idea is how the gurus were benefited by the company of the master. They became the learners in the company of the master, even though they were the gurus as well. So now next example is that of Totapuri, a great ascetic teacher of the practice of Vedanta, of the non-dual Brahman, realizing non-dual Brahman through just through that means of discernment. That Totapuri was teacher to Sri Ramakrishna, but how his life also had some weaknesses, and then we will see how a very prominent weakness in Totapuri's life was cured in the company of Sri Ramakrishna. We shall try to see that next Tuesday. So we will meditate on what we read for 30 seconds, and after that, if you have any questions or comments, please do ask. Yes, please.
Just one question. Would you say, from Charlie, would you say that religious fanatics such as fundamentalists are possessive in that they don't want people to love any other incarnation or prophet?
Well, yes. It is depends, they are possessive. The fanatics are, therefore, fanaticism itself is a terrible disease. So, certainly, yeah. Okay. So, friends, next Tuesday we shall have, in addition to what is happening, the online attendance, we could allow some people to come for personal attendance as well. It will be limited to say 20. And now if Shrikant can show you how the hall looks. Yes, so we have kept the number of those seats with social distancing. Of course, there will be restrictions, as you can see, that everyone who wants to come must come in latest by, for these Tuesday and Friday classes, latest by 7:35. the doors will get locked after that. Second important thing is that they have to put on face mask. Third important thing is that they should make sure that they do not have any symptoms like fever or any dry cough or wet cough, sneezings, and such signs. And also, it is possible that somebody will take their temperature by thermometer without touching their forehead. Their temperature could be taken. These many of these conditions which are actually given by that CDC, Center for Disease Control. So those instructions would be kept outside the door, and you have to read those instructions before entering, and your entering in will be taken as your acceptance of those conditions. So from coming Sunday service, of course the time there would be, they have to come here no later than 5 past 5. So no later than that. So we will start doing that. The lectures would be open for personal attendance under such conditions. Also, it is advised that those who have some underlying conditions and who are aged, they should not take the trouble of traveling and attending, because they are the ones who are, statistically speaking, more susceptible. So it has been advised that they should not venture to come for now. Situations are going towards improvement, and maybe soon we will be able to, all of us will be able to sit here as earlier we used to do. But for now, these are the conditions that have to be put in place. So thank you very much, and let us conclude with the closing prayers. May the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahura Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.